So I've got Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen on either side of me.
Carlos Sainz.
It's the hair. Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Evo podcast, because we thought with the F1 season coming back off the summer holidays, we'd do a quick, short and sweet F1 Evo podcast. We don't often talk about Formula 1 and motorsport, but we thought it was quite a fascinating season so far, and the summer break seemed to come at the right time, particularly for McLaren, because it looked like Oscar and Lando were about to...
It's building up again,
building
isn't
up,
it?
wasn't it, as a massive sort of penultimate lap of Hungary, where Oscar just thought, I'll die
Absolutely
from it.
sent it.
Send it and take him out.
Gearbox,
We thought, Yousuf and James have dressed for the occasion as Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen. Dickie's taking on the role of
slow
F1.
vehicle recovering on the circuit. Yeah,
And I'm
Yusuf's
James,
overtaking.
and up comes James's favourite commentator, Crofty.
Tell her about that.
What do we think of it so far this season? It's been, the McLarens are sort of fighting out amongst themselves, and it's the rest, everyone else for themselves.
Well, there's so much
isn't it?
going on,
Great.
isn't there? It's not. There's like the title fight.
That's
but then
almost a
there's-
sideshow, isn't
there's
it?
like-
It's jumbled up, isn't it? The rest
Yeah,
of
there's
it.
the continuing tragedy of Lewis and Ferrari, isn't there?
Yes.
It's like,
how
how
much
much worse?
race and then
How much
but
worse can it get for
Well,
him?
he can't get any worse, so surely he comes back and wins every race the second part of the season, doesn't he?
It's painful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find it painful to watch him, because he's never been very good at hiding how he feels, as he impressed in the pen when he's talking. But he just looked like a broken man, didn't
it's
he?
almost
After Hungary.
disturbing in Hungary.
But
isn't it, how he,
Charles Leclerc's almost the same, but they're both experiencing the same challenges.
Well,
with
he
the
was
car.
completely bemused, wasn't
Yeah.
he? It was like when they said that's pole
That was a
position.
terrible
You
lap.
what? It's like, how could it possibly be pole position?
But then they throw it away as only
Yeah.
Ferrari can, and you've got two drivers that just, in very different ways, are being very open and emotional about this is just, what have we got to do? What's happening?
It feels like there's a bit of a tug of war between, obviously, Charles is the established. They've kind of built the team around him, hadn't he? Then Lewis has come in, and Lewis has been quite public in saying all the work he's done to tell them where he thinks the car's at and what it needs and what he'd like, and so he's obviously doing what he can to try and steer the car more in his direction. So you don't really know, like on results, you say Charles is much more comfortable in the car than Lewis, but you'd expect that if the car's been designed around Charles anyway. But that's an additional bit of friction within a team that always seems quite complicated.
I think it's a different frustration, because Charles is obviously getting pretty much the most out of the car more often than not, and he seems frustrated at the team and the car because he's delivering. Whereas for Lewis, I think it bothers him that he's not extracting the most out of what is a difficult
It's going to be
package.
killing him, isn't it?
And it's weird because, this is Lewis Hamilton. You've never thought, Lewis isn't getting the most out of it. He's always been absolutely on it compared to his teammates as well, but just something's not clicking.
So is that he's been so hard on himself because he knows that he can do, he feels he should be doing more, but actually, if the car's the car, that's what you can do, and if it can't. But that's not a great look for Ferrari if you have got a car that only one person can get anything from it, and
that doesn't happen at any other teams, does it?
Or Red Bull.
Yes,
maybe,
exactly.
but
That's
I think maybe
your
that's the,
teammate.
that is the nature of the cars. Perhaps now is they are much more designed around a driver.
But McLaren, two drivers getting the most out of that car,
Maybe.
and it's not as if it's Oscar's always going to get pole and win, and Lando picks up. He's not doing the Bottas role, is it? They are going hell for leather, hang for tongue in every practice session, every qualifying session, every race. Those two are just knocking the shit out of each other.
And the result, like Lando's results, have been good the last couple of races, haven't they? But they don't actually reflect how the race was going, and Oscar seemed to be the one that was
leading until
driving
the last
better,
moment.
and then something has happened, and I know that you don't get luck all the time, and Lando's probably had bad luck and will have more, but it's a really hard one to judge, isn't it? Lando's got some momentum, but you think, I don't know. Oscar's just a bit of a.
Yeah.
He seems so level, but when he gets angry, he seems to drive even better. He doesn't seem to
still
lose his
calm.
head.
Yeah.
He just seems to focus even more.
Yeah.
It's really hard one to call, isn't it? I don't know if the team are ever going to favour one or the other. They're so close. If they stay within one race win of each other for the second half of the season, how can they really?
I think that because they've
Call
always
it.
made a big thing of, we let the drivers fight, so it would have to be mathematically impossible for one of them not to win it, which is on the basis of this first half of the season isn't going to happen.
It would be
so-
brilliant though, wouldn't
Yeah.
it, to manage. I know it's not just Zach Brown. That's done it all, but he's like orchestrated much of it, hasn't he? And to turn that team around from, it was an embarrassment, wasn't it? Terrible, no
For like
sponsors,
10 years straight.
awful. And not only have they managed to build a really dominant car, but they're doing what everyone wants all the teams to do, which is just strap the drivers in and tell them to not crash into one another, but otherwise
race and finish
just
first
race
and
as
second.
hard as you possibly can. It's a real, I can't think of another time, maybe apart from, I don't know, Mance and PK or something, like when they just hated one another and were driving super aggressively. I can't think of another time where
not with teammates, has it? Where
No.
it's just been.
Nico and Lewis were quite heated.
Yeah, I think that was more when.
That Bahrain battle.
Yeah.
But that was few and far between, I think, isn't it? When you look back at it, of
When they
like
bumped into
Barcelona,
each
I
other in
suppose, and they
Barcelona.
took each
Yeah.
other out,
Yeah,
didn't they?
Austria, they came together as well. Spa.
but that was
Early
over.
on.
That was over a number of seasons.
But they've always had a clear number one driver after that, haven't they? After Nico retired, they've never gone back to that plan.
And that was very much a mathematical thing, and there seemed to be an advantage to one driver to get that mathematical advantage, and then you get the rear gunner support, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know whether it's just because I'm a huge Lewis fan and I'm just focusing on Hamilton and Ferrari, but I don't feel excited by this championship battle in a weird way, because even though it's super close and they are fighting for wins all the time, maybe it's just because they're two drivers that aren't yet world champions and aren't yet established, so it doesn't feel like there's a lot at stake.
I feel like
if you
a
know what
clash
I mean.
of the titans.
Yeah, it's not like two greats meeting and sort of like
or a established champion being taken on by a
there's not really the stakes there. It's sort of who's going to get there first.
I think it's everything, isn't it? The stakes. I don't think the stakes could be any higher, because the rules change next year. Neither of them. It's unlikely, but it could be that neither of them are in a winning car ever again in their careers.
McLaren's focus must be so much on this season. They might drop back.
And I think every race in every championship is crucial, isn't it? Because that's where you can make or not break your career if you're Lewis or something. But if you're those two guys,
the pressure's huge, isn't it?
It's really, really
as
important.
Dickie says, probably could be the only time for a number of years that you're in with a shout.
They can't take anything for granted,
what happened
can they?
to Alonso? We thought Alonso would win 4 or 5
and I think
championships.
the rule changes next year are so big that you just don't know what the competition are doing. Is Red Bull sort of dragging that donkey? Is Max dragging that donkey around every race, way above the car's capability? But what have they been working on?
I think it's from what I've read, it's a power more and more like a powertrain formula. They're trying to take make the aero is significant in terms of how the cars deliver their lap time, but it's not the principal contributor to how good the car is. And I think all the engines are within about 10 PS or something, aren't they? So I've heard, but that doesn't say how they which circuits they'll maybe suit. I think the rule changes are. They change everything, don't they? But I think the powertrains are.
There's more focus on the powertrains than the aero, for next year.
Critical, I think, than they have been, and there's quite a mix-up in terms of who's providing the powertrains, and there's some switches between teams, aren't there? So I don't think anything's a given now, is it?
Yeah,
no, but I think that's for the second half. It is for not only at the front, but I think for those midfield teams, apart from Alpine, which we might come on to. But there's teams that are scoring points, which is obviously, in terms of budget and funding and stuff, is really important. And those teams as well are looking at it. This is our opportunity to score podiums. You look at how Sauber reacted when Hulkenberg finally got his podium. It's that opportunity. Aston Martin mentioned it in another podcast. That's now a midfield team with.
Well, it was in the last race, but it
Yeah,
might not
but
be in the
then
next.
back-
It
the
seems
next
so
one, but really unpredictable. isn't
so
it?
unpredictable.
But it just, in terms of the Constructors' Championship, it's so close because at one race you'll dominate, the next you won't. So you're constantly taking points out of each other.
Yeah.
But we now know what the teams are worth as well because Aston Martin have sold their share from themselves. But that's valued the team at $3 billion. So a midfield team is $3 billion. So therefore, that is an important thing for all the teams. So fighting for constructors' points is even more important because you've got something to go to market of we're worth this much and we're going to do this.
It's sort of the way the cars are and the racing is at the moment. It makes it very hard. It's what everyone wants, isn't it? And what you kind of know is that most of the grid, if you stuck most of the drivers in a McLaren, unless they find they can't deal with the pressure of actually being in a competitive car, they're going to be there or thereabouts, aren't they? So when Aston's on form, suddenly Lance Stroll is qualifying 6th or whatever he did, and Fernando's 5th. But then 2 races previously, he was out in Q1 20th or something. And
pit lane
it's
starts
so
or
hard to
something.
gauge. Like Bortoletto, start of the year, you think,
And
is he a
now
bit
he's-
overrated?
Yeah,
But
he's flying.
again, I'd read because of the restriction in testing, he's really learning as he
drives.
goes.
Well, I think that's
But he's won every championship
Yeah,
he's
Yeah.
been in,
Yeah.
and suddenly
yeah.
he seems like a
That's
force
the
to be
same
reckoned with, doesn't he?
Kimi, isn't it? There's no testing. You're learning that
Yeah.
Mercedes, and every race, every.
But
test
he's
session,
kind of struggling now. He
Yeah.
started off well, and now he's sort of seems to be struggling.
He's sort of reached a point in the car.
Bortoletto was struggling, and now whether the team's running better since
And is that
Jonathan's
because
taken
Mercedes
charge?
have said, right, well, that's the car for this year. We're thinking of 26, and we'd be back stronger, so don't worry about it.
I think it's also because these ground effect cars seem really tricky to drive, and because the quali is so close, like a tenth of a second can be 5 places, they seem like they're on a knife edge, and if you push just a little bit too much, you're dropping way down the order, and the less experienced guys are really suffering with that at certain points.
Yeah.
Then when they nail it, they're right up there. So it's like an inconsistency.
And it's the
they
blink
have.
of an eye.
Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, isn't it? But I don't
think
think we can comprehend just how fine the margins are in the driving and the setup. And there's so many variables, aren't there, and things that affect the way those cars will perform from lap to lap with wind direction. And any car that any normal person drives, nothing really makes any difference to how it feels
Same
and
every lap,
performs,
isn't
does
it?
it?
Yeah.
Or you never driven a car that's that sensitive and that finely balanced. I think it's easy to sit in your armchair and look at the ghost lap and go, oh yeah, he's braked
lost it there,
but it does blow my mind how close it is now.
Yeah.
Between drivers in the same team, but also between other drivers in other cars together. Given that they're all prototype cars, aren't they? Every time they run, they're probably running new parts.
Testing something.
I mean, they're designed to run to finish the race plus one lap pretty much, and they just sort of collapse and need rebuilding, don't they? There's such fine margins in the engineering of them, and
like you'd write Liam Lawson off, wouldn't you? Like he had an absolute nightmare at Red Bull, then he had a really hard time to start with racing bulls, but now and Hajar had a terrible first race, but then he's been absolutely mega. But now Lawson's getting better. Yuki's it's so hard.
I can't remember a time where F1 was like that though, because it used to be quite categorised. Like you had
pretty set, wasn't
qualifying,
it?
you'd have 2 Ferraris, 2
exactly.
Williams, 2 McLarens.
There might be a
2
tenth or 2 separating them, and then there'd be a gap to the midfield. But now it's just all.
Well, it was, wasn't it? The first, it was Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull were the top 3, and they'd be quite close, and then the midfield would be some way off those top 3, but would be quite close together in their midfield. But then the tail end again would be close, but they'd be way off the midfield. So you got races where you were 3 packs effectively running with each other, but now they're not. I mean, the gap it's rare. I think Austria they were lapping cars, but
that's a short lap though, isn't it?
Because it's a short lap. But some of the circuits, they're very rare now, unless they've had an extra pit stop or something's happened. They tend to be finishing on the same lap. The finishing gap is quite tight, isn't it? It's not winning by a minute or anything. It's winning by seconds.
I wonder if some of that is because there's been a period of stability with the regs, and so teams have all settled on relatively.
It's probably the cost cap as well, isn't it? Like a big team, if they've gone in the wrong direction, they could spend their way out of that.
Yep.
But now, if they've got restricted wind tunnel time and restricted budgets, and there's only so much they can do. I know this season is slightly odd because they're all, to a greater or lesser extent, they've been focusing on next year's cars, but I think it's so competitive.
Yeah, I think
I don't know how much. It's not like, we'll just pull the covers off that next weekend and run it. They're still doing some development work.
I think you can't afford just the value of sports teams now. You can't afford to go 2025. We just run last year's car with a new livery and we're focused on 26 because
the perception is everything, isn't it?
Because you need that for 2026 and onwards. You need that position and standing and status, and if you stand still, the teams around you won't. They will be developing, and you can, and sort of that seems to be what's happened at Alpine
Alpine's a weird one, isn't it? Because they have occasional flashes where they do really well, but I don't know whether that's Gasly out driving the car.
I think that's Gasly doing a bit of a max with the Red Bull, isn't it? They're both out driving that car and outperforming.
But then Williams will do that, but then they seem to have been having a really bad run. Like Sainz seems a bit lost, doesn't he?
And then sometimes they'll pop up in top 6 or something.
Yeah. They're going from race. I think the point you made, isn't it? They're going from race to race, and one week, this is perfect, brilliant. Don't change the thing. Next race, well, this is undrivable. What have you done? Well, nothing.
I think
you told us not to change anything.
But it's track temperatures, isn't it?
Yeah. Tyres as well.
It's tyres. It's the nature of the track. Every single thing changes in so many different ways between weekends. I think you can look at it simplistically and see it as the same playing field every other weekend or whatever the cadence is. But no, I'm the summer break is quite an odd one because I'm like, there must be a Grand Prix on the team. It's still 2 weeks, or it's still a week, or
well, you think with 24 races, surely there must be one. Well, how can they have a 3 week or a 2 week break? Whatever
they will keep their sanity and they're not all going to fall over.
All go mad.
Yeah.
They're going to come back. Well, quite a lot of the news happened beforehand, didn't it? With Christian departing.
That's true. There's a lot of news before the season started.
So just that run into the second half of the season where it's.
So what's the goss then, Stu? Come on, you must have
got the insider goss.
You must have a bit of gossip from somewhere.
On what?
Alpine, maybe.
Alpine, maybe. I've heard that Christian and Flav will be taken on Alpine at some point. Obviously, Luca Di Maio has left Renault and left Automotive, and he was a big driving force behind.
So is that buying? Because Alpine's got a weird structure anyway, because it's got half of Hollywood equity
and half
stakeholders,
and half the golfing footballers, golfers, all kinds of sort of people being wheeled out as investment funds into Alpine. But I think Luca Di Maio was very much the driving force behind Alpine being a very front and centre motorsport brand. So you had Le Mans, you had F1, you have the Alpine cars, road cars and stuff. With him gone, new CEO comes in, the pressures that car companies are under with their financial results, and if you've got a Formula 1 team running around at the back of the grid, you can see it being quite an easy decision.
And it doesn't have an obvious connection unless you love the sport and like the idea of your brand being in Formula 1. There's very little point in doing it, I guess, for somebody. Yeah,
so then you've got how do you, if someone comes along with an offer to get you out of this, and you run the team, buy the team and sell it to someone else who is maybe interested, because we know what Lentz Cadillac went to become the 11th team on the grid. So
Briatore and Christian Horner are like the front men.
That's a wild combination.
There's a wild combination. Because I'm pretty sure Flav's still banned, isn't he, from owning a team or running a team, or is that lifted?
No, I think that's lifted. Well, he's allowed back in the paddock.
Yeah, he was banned from the paddock.
I think he's got around it with his job title. It's something strange. Like he's technically not allowed to be involved in the operation.
Nothing at all to do with any serious decisions.
Yeah. But he's always there. And
just wears the shirt and sits on the pit wall and is in the garage all the time.
Yes, I think they will be.
I mean, when Horner was ousted from Red Bull, Flavio Briatore was one of the first people to publicly, say incredible legacy, wishing all the best for the future. He was the first to kind of publicly.
He's done an extraordinary job, hasn't he? Imagine if he was a football manager or something, and he just won 7 European Cups and then led a national team to a World Cup. It's kind of that level of achievement.
In another sport,
absolutely.
It's being a football manager, a young football manager that everyone go, you're a bit young, and then you've built a team that is pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, he's basically like Alex Ferguson, but 30 years younger, wasn't he? Really, and created a team of people and drivers and culture within a team that was quite unlike any other. Yeah,
very disruptive to
I guess it just rubbed everyone's noses up the wrong way. I suspect the whole way the team went about it was deliberately a bit maverick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit provocative, wasn't it? You're all stuffy F1 teams.
And he quite liked that.
Yeah, it gives you a thing to...
And I think the Netflix stuff has probably shown... They like to have the team bosses playing their own... They kind of typecast them, don't they? So I don't think he came out of some of that particularly well, did he, with the way he was maybe portrayed, or maybe that's the way he is. I don't know. You can only judge from what you see, can't you? But there's obviously some people have a great deal of respect for him. Other people don't. I guess within the same paddock, and the paddock's notoriously.
It would be interesting, because I think it'd be one of those people when they're in that role, very decisive. You either think he's an amazing team boss, or you think he's a arrogant little sort of egotistical gobshite.
Is that your opinion, Stu?
Are you from the legal department?
But you look back on their career and go, blimey, look at what they achieved. And it's the same with, at a time when Schumacher and Ferrari were dominating, it was, they're killing F1, this is boring and stuff. But now everyone looks back and go, just how good they were. You put it into perspective. How that achievement is, that is to do that time and time again. Same with Mercedes and when Lewis was there, and to do that, repeating that success. I think people outside of any sport don't appreciate how hard it is to stay at the very.
There's a lot of moving parts, aren't there, in an organisation with 1,000, 1,200 people in it. That's
but to do that,
like
you have to have the strongest leaders, and regardless of what you think of someone's personality when they're on TV and being interviewed and stuff like that, how provocative they are and portrayed on a documentary thing like the Netflix thing, they wouldn't have achieved that success without Christian Horner at the top, regardless of what you think of him. And that has to be, and I think that is, Flab and everyone else in the paddock is very respectful of him, regardless of what they think of him. He has achieved, and everyone will say, well, you had the best team. You had Adrian Newey, you had Jonathan Wheatley, you had all these areas.
Yeah, but he was...
you had to want
at least in part responsible for bringing those people in and retaining them, wasn't he? So
retain them and get them to give them the resource and the support they need to deliver what you've employed them to do, and attract the drivers, knowing when to let Seb go. And took a punt on Max, a young driver, going into a team...
Helmut Marko, though, I never know. He's the ultimate James Bond baddie, isn't he? Yeah. But I never quite know. Like, the organisation is so mysterious because he's just been the other permanent. But then fixture.
And then to have a figure like Helmut Marko in the team, what's his actual role? So he's.
But he seems to be the one that moves the chess pieces, doesn't he? To me, he's
with the drivers.
And maybe with more other team personnel, but he's actually the most interesting person in the paddock in a way, isn't he? Because he's just this very slightly sinister.
He's never smiled.
Ruthless character, but if he is the kind of talent scout, then you think of the drivers that have been through that. They've had a few misses, but
he hasn't got great.
Well, I don't know. Either Danny Rick, Carlos Sainz, Albon went through and got spat out the other side, but he's still a really talented driver. Max was a really talented driver. Vettel was a really talented driver. Mark Webber was a really talented. They have had some really incredibly.
There seems to be
good drivers
it's
in the
recent
team.
times where the drop off has been so noticeable.
It's the churn rate that's quite hard to get your head around, isn't it? Particularly if they can't test. Then how the hell are you expected to perform?
It is a bit like football managers, where they're very keen to fire them as soon
and
as
it seems to be with drivers, isn't it? Oh, you're not performing, we'll get rid of you after 6 races.
Yeah.
Just as they're bedding in,
we
we go. And then how disruptive is that into a team when you're going in when the other driver is the best, the fastest, most sort of aggressive.
I'm trying to think of any of the driver swaps where any of the guys that have gone in to replace someone else has actually, whether it's been worthwhile. And I'm not sure.
I think given how many drivers that we know are quality drivers have gone into that second seat and not performed, and then maybe gone back into the racing bull and then performed.
And like Gasly, Albon.
There has to be something, whether it's, preferential treatment or upgrades or whatever, or the style of the car that doesn't suit a style other than Max's. I think that's the only explanation.
And that's the only bit of a team that doesn't make sense to me, because teams historically, winning the Drivers' Championship is important, but for a team winning the Constructors' Championship is far more important. And if you tie one hand behind your back, if you designed a car that only suits one driver and the other driver just can't get, you're penalising yourself to appease a driver, and not having everyone talks about the World Championship.
I wonder with Max, with some of the stuff he said in Monkey's Ford film, where he was talking about that particular issue, and I'm sure he's not going to go into great detail, but he did just say, well, it's identifying the weakness in the car and either changing your driving to get around it, or just that is the main problem, this is what we need to work on. And he does seem to have a completely, just a almost brilliantly binary ability to, like, it's how he decides his overtaking manoeuvres, or just how he conducts himself is absolutely no doubt, no question, no remorse, or it's just this is what he needs doing, and maybe the team responds to that because he can do that, and he's blisteringly quick, isn't he?
Whatever decision he makes for the car, they know, well, it's going to be
I really like Max. I didn't dislike him, even though some of the things he does are hard to like. But I think he's become a much more. He's given a little bit more of his character because he's not winning all the time. Yeah, and you can see that when he does drive out of his skin, like in Japan or whatever, you can really see it in him, and he's absolutely buzzing because it's not just turning up, win, go home and race on a sim.
Simply lovely.
Yeah. He's having to earn it, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think
you can see it when he's driving.
I think
that car
he's
looks an edgy.
I think he's a fascinating character, isn't he?
And I think all the cars seem to change their characteristics at every circuit, and he seems to be the one that isn't impacted. Like the McLarens seem to work everywhere. But regardless of how the Red Bull performs, Max seems to be able to drag it further up the grid.
He's just quite level, isn't he?
He can adapt to the challenge they find on a Friday morning practice of, oh God, this isn't going to work this weekend. Right, I'm going to have to do it like this. You're going to have to change it.
He seems really adaptable and, I don't know, just agile in his thinking, isn't he, and attitude. And he's not just turning up, and if he's not on pole and fastest lap, and it doesn't seem to faze him particularly.
No, he still seems to want to have a fight for whether he's fighting for the last podium place and he knows the McLaren's going to walk it, or whether he's fighting for 7th and 8th.
I think Alonso's a bit like that though, isn't he? He'll drive the wheels off something, or he'll try a totally different...
for 14th place.
Like 40 laps on the same tyres, and then it's nowhere, and then suddenly he's... I like that. That's definitely what sets those guys
sets
apart,
the few apart, doesn't it?
And actually, Hülkenberg hasn't qualified well this year, but he's always climbed in every race, which I guess is the experience.
It's the experience of knowing, right, we're not going to qualify, but let's work on a race strategy, and having that confidence, but then the backing of the team, and again the backing of the team comes from someone at the top saying, no, we back the driver if they say
something. You can see Jonathan's influence Jonathan Wheatley, I would say, at Sauber, because they were a bit quiet and they turn up, they participate, but they didn't really seem to be any kind of contender, did they? And then suddenly
they felt initially, didn't they, that they were just in a holding pattern for next year with Audi coming on board, and they were quite happy just to make up. Well, we got to turn up because otherwise we forfeit our good spot. Whereas now it's like, well, you can do this.
I think it's just his mindset. Yeah. I think you're not wired up to just turn up. I don't think, and they've got a lot to prove, haven't they? When that car turns up with a Audi logo on it, everyone's going to suddenly expect them to be doing proper things with it, because Audi don't turn up to anything and not expect to win at some stage, do they? So I don't know. I still can't believe we're only halfway through the season and we've done how many 14 races or 13 races or something.
Runs till December, and then they've already announced calendar for next year with Madrid coming onto another street circuit. So you've got 2 races in Spain, which I'm not quite sure where the rationale comes for that, because it seems to be a country made of motorbike fans, and you've got Carlos
and Fernando.
The Valencia street circuit and Barcelona.
It's a lot to hang it off, but it's the second half of the season. You need a good world. Going back to your point, I think you need a good world championship fight at the front, because we know as you get to the second half of the season, it's going to those circuits that perhaps aren't the best for racing. But it'll be fascinating this year because the cars are so close. Yeah. But
it's going to be good. I like to think I'm neutral in the Oscar Lando thing, but actually when they're really like Hungary or whatever, a race like that, I feel it. Like you know where your allegiance lies, don't you? In those moments, where it's, come on,
who do you want to come off?
So I think I'm team Lando.
Okay, I'd love to see Lando do it, but
my heart wants him to win, but I think my head thinks Oscar.
I think it's Piastri's to lose. I think
Oscar is more. He seems to be more sort of
clinical, isn't
he?
More
clinical. Lando's got the emotion. You can
He's
see
so
it in him.
calm, Piastri. I find him almost spookily calm.
Yeah, nothing phases him at all, does it? No matter what position he finds himself in.
Yeah.
Whether they've switched strategies for both drivers, and Lando looks like on paper he's just clearly going to walk away with this, but he just has that ability to read the race of where he is and what he needs to do, and when he needs to put the pressure on. Whereas Lando has that emotion. You hear it. I mean, obviously the radio broadcasts are selective of what they want you to hear, but Lando seems to be more emotive and get bogged down a bit sometimes.
That's made me like him more as a character.
It makes you feel like he's more normal, and it means
it
means as much to all of them, doesn't it?
Of course,
but one just portrays it more overtly than the other, perhaps. And Lando's got cool car collection.
He does, yeah. He's got a Lamborghini Miura, Pro
GT,
part share in a F40 that had a bump earlier in the year.
Yes,
But it's going to be.
So what do we want? We want Lewis to
I want
him to win every race,
chin up, and
I think it's in there. It's definitely in there, because stuff like China, it can't be a fluke.
No.
Like, you don't fluke pole position and walking away from the field.
I just hope Ferrari has a good 2026 package.
Yeah. And it should suit his style a bit more, being less ground effect.
Yeah, because that car, the current car, hasn't it, has got issues with its ride height. So it's
so George says,
George, the best number 2 on the grid.
Alan Partridge.
What do we want? Well, where would there's new circuit in? There's only one new circuit, I think, next year, isn't it?
The Madrid street circuit.
Where would we want to? What is there an old circuit that you want to bring back, or is there somewhere new you think F1 should go to?
Wow, old circuit.
We're going to be old duffers and go.
I think the Landau Grand Prix would go down.
Would that be like a 192 lap race?
Would a modern F1 car fit on Lando?
Might be tight in the chicane, but I think it'd be doable.
A lot of Landau laps. But this would be mental, but one track that came to mind, if we could bring a track from the past back, is one of the best tracks I've ever driven. Was I did a test at Charade, which is at Clermont-Ferrand, where they had the French Grand Prix back in the 60s. And the old track is miles. It's a bit like old Spa. It's much bigger than new Spa, but it's still massive elevation change,
Yeah, yeah.
and it'd be epic to see them race there. It could never happen. It could never get an FIA license now, but that would be amazing to see them race there.
Scary.
It's really scary.
Very
but
scary.
in a good
Yeah.
way.
I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? I know there was talk of a London Grand Prix, wasn't there, like a street circuit?
Yeah, like down
but
the Mall. And
I think
stuff.
that would be pretty exciting because I'd love to go to Azerbaijan. I think that
Yeah.
that looks like such an exciting,
yeah.
like a ridiculous
Yeah.
circuit with that
Yeah,
tiny
yeah.
tight bit through the
so
castle.
some friends did Peking to Paris, and they part of the route went through Azerbaijan and stopped it back out, and they just said it was not only was it an amazing sort of place to arrive in and drive through, but the city as well was
Yeah,
stunning. You can see.
I think
How
street
it works.
circuits can be pretty amazing. Actually, I think
I think we always think of street circuits as Monaco.
I love the
just a
spectacle
snooze.
of Monaco, and I'd love to go to Monaco and see the race. But
Yeah.
actually, you kind of it's about everything
Yeah.
almost. Apart
It's everything
from
up
the race.
until the green
Yeah.
flag.
Yeah,
isn't it? Green flag
qualifying
lap.
is the highlight of the Monaco weekend. See
Yeah.
them on it on that track, and then the race is always
Yeah,
a bit
so
of a
back-
Because
session.
the circuit is designed, optimised for one car on the track at any
And
one time.
they're so big now. I
Yeah.
found the Monaco race a bit embarrassing to watch this year because they just don't fit on that track anymore, do they?
Rascats is like full off.
Yeah, I can't remember the two drivers who came together on lap one. Someone went down the inside, and there just wasn't space for two cars. The other car
They just
crashed
stopped.
just
Yeah,
because.
yeah.
Yeah, Baku or Jeddah. Jeddah looks absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
doesn't
I
it?
can't believe that track's allowed. I mean, it just looks designed to kill someone.
Just have a think of who sponsors Formula One that may be based in that
Yes,
country.
yeah.
What would you? Is there one you want to bring back
God.
while he's getting his brain into gear?
There's so many to choose from, aren't there? But the cars wouldn't. That you'd have to completely remodel any old track for them to.
Or they have to build one
Fit
special
on,
car with
wouldn't
massive ride height to manage Monza banking or Nordschleife or something.
What about
Hockenheim?
Magna Core or something?
Yeah, Hockenheim.
Hockenheim,
Old
be-
Hockenheim.
old
would be more
Hockenheim, because with
interesting,
DRS, with those two massive straights, they would just all be overtaken. each
Eight
other.
DRS zones.
One DRS zone.
It'd be like the Indy 500, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just like
Dra-
swapping.
You don't want to lead the last lap, do you?
Yeah.
You want to be in about 14th on the last lap.
Yeah,
so you can
exactly.
draft your way
Just
to the
draft
front.
everyone.
Drafting into those chicanes that they created.
Yeah.
Well, that could be.
Yeah.
Of course, they wouldn't run if it was raining because the rain would have nowhere to go. We'd have that
They'd
fast.
hang in the trees, wouldn't it?
in Spa. But yeah, old Hockenheim, I always like that just because that's a proper just speed, isn't it? Take all the aero off, and when they reconfigured it for the new circuit, it kind of didn't really become a circuit.
not
did
the
it?
same at all. Not the same
But
at all.
didn't sort of have any features to it. Lost all its features as a track. What do you
Come
want
on,
to bring
Yousuf.
back, Yousuf? Apart from the one that's on your doorstep.
Maybe Magna Core. I know the
Oh, that's
racing
really
wasn't amazing,
fast.
but I
They're
just
really
love
fast
seeing.
chicanes.
And
Yeah.
that first sector super quick, then the hairpin. which
Yeah,
was
like
super
the big
tight.
stop, and it was just
Yeah.
amazing to watch. Like the panning
Yeah.
shots as they go through
Yeah.
the chicane and things
Yeah.
was awesome.
Although that was, I think, in the world of track limits now.
yeah,
If you look at any of the old onboard, track
Just
limits
straight
was-
lining it
that
all,
was
yeah.
like
Yeah.
completely coming onto the start finish straight. Also, it takes about 4 days to get to Magny-Cours,
Oh,
even
right.
if you start
Oh,
in
really?
Magny-Cours.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that part of France that seems to be a bit of an
It's like
abyss.
the Bermuda Triangle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
Like, just go to the
disappearing.
next corner. Just keep going down that straight until
Yeah.
you.
Le Mans, actually. I'd like there to be a Grand Prix at Le
Yeah.
Mans.
They did it in the 60s once. and it's-
Yeah. Well, that
On
would,
the
that
Bugatti
would
circuit.
mix some of what we miss at Hockenheim with the long straights.
That would be
Imagine
a-
going through the
cool.
Porsche curve
Yeah.
that would be a hell of a race.
That'd be wild. Yeah.
and about
that'd
8
be
laps.
great.
Yeah. It'd be a good one, though, wouldn't it?
God, the engines would be at like 20,000 RPM or something.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine the blow-ups
Yeah.
going down the straight?
Need to make that happen, Stu.
So what, the round of... God, can you imagine trying to get the ACO involved with the FIA to do an
Evo
F1 race?
podcast influence to bear on both the FIA and the
Yeah,
ACO.
that's it. They'll buckle.
Yeah, they're buckle. They're buckle.
Yeah.
And where else? Who do we want to... So we got Cadillac next year. Who do we think should go in? Who deserves those 2
Well, there's lots of
seats?
rumours, aren't there? Bottas and Checo.
Without wishing to sound like Tiff, Nadal, should it be for younger drivers rather than letting old
Well, you'd
drivers
like to
go
think there'd
back
be an
in?
American driver
Yeah.
or someone from that side, so maybe Alex Palou or
Yeah.
that's part of American racing
Yeah.
culture.
I'd love to see. It won't happen because he's a McLaren driver, but Pato O'Ward is such
Yeah.
a talent
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
IndyCar.
yeah.
I'd love to see what he could do in F1.
Yeah.
You never know, Zach's always up for a deal.
Yeah, true. Maybe it could be on secondment or
Yeah.
something. Could be on loan.
Get some inside.
No, it'd be
line.
nice to bring some new names in, wouldn't it? Like, just to be a bit more of a wild card. But are they going to invest that much money in someone who's not raced
They'd need at
Formula
least
One
one experience
to develop the
person,
car
I think.
and all that?
And I think that's actually the most interesting pairing as a spectator, to see an established driver and then a wild newcomer to test against them.
But surely Brad Pitt's got to be right up there, isn't he? It's the
Sunny Hayes.
Sunny Hayes.
But things on that going.
Stranger things.
Be a great episode of Drive to Survive. It is unveiling. He's a 61-year-old actor.
Yeah, I don't think he would survive, would he?
I don't think you would. I mean, that's. But going back to the getting an established driver and a rookie, do you take an established driver from a current team, or do you bring one back from who hasn't been in a car for a year, 2 years, and how much does that?
I know.
Would that be a hindrance? But the cars are all new, so actually everyone's starting from.
Danny Rick's name kept popping up next to Cadillac, but he said on record he's not going to go back to F1.
He's got to be done, hasn't he? I think his brain is just, and heart's going to be done, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he should race some other stuff.
He should do Le Mans.
Or Aussie V8
V8s,
or something. I don't. It'd be fun to see
Just go
someone like that hooning around in that sort of stuff, wouldn't it?
Baja.
I don't know. I can't. Cadillac is such a weird brand to be in Formula One anyway. I can't imagine
You can't associate
typical
anybody there, can you? Really?
boss hog. I don't know. I don't know.
Cold trickle.
Yeah. Put a NASCAR driver in, that would be interesting. Maybe not. It's going to be, because whatever way, there's going to be two new drivers, isn't there? There's not. Yeah, they're not replacing a team. It's, and how do you go? You know, Audi are coming in, but they're coming in with an established team with personnel who know how it runs. You've got drivers with the experience, but your Cadillac, you're coming in to a grueling 24, 25 race series. There's probably a new circuit that we forgot to mention that's on the calendar, and new regs for everyone.
And a rookie, that would be a
Would
big
you have
ask,
two rookies or one established driver, but they're experienced because they're not racing at the moment? Is anyone going to release a driver? You're doing all this work this season and also working on 26 car. Are you going to release a driver from your team?
Maybe someone taking a year out, because I read an interview with Fernando Alonso and someone said, I've forgotten how old he is, for 40 something.
42, 44.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
And they said, just how are you still so competitive? And he said, I think it's because I had 2 years out, which was maybe not of his own design. I don't think he intended to be out, but he said that time gave him the chance to recharge mentally and physically.
But he's got another year on his contract, hasn't he? I think at Aston till end of 26. But I think there's, can McLaren keep Oscar, and to your point, Pato Ward, can Zach keep Lando and Oscar happy together?
Because at the moment it just about works, doesn't it? But
does Red Bull need a proper strong number 2 for Max?
I think the number 2 conundrum of Red Bull, I think, is why Horner is gone. That's the big. It wasn't just the allegations at the start of the year; it's the whole problem of.
Yeah, you can't. You're not going to. It's another season of not winning, not being competitive as a team for the constructors' title.
It is bizarre, isn't it, to have that consistent, huge gap between the two cars.
And I feel like
so
in
many
any
different
other
drivers have tried.
car, you would see maybe a couple of tenths between Max and like a really good driver.
We had it with Checo, didn't you? He would be in Q3.
Yeah,
he was better than we thought, wasn't he?
He was like 3 or 4 tenths off on average, which is still quite a lot. But I just
on
think
his day, he would win a race. But I just like Yuki's a fun character, isn't he? But I can't ever imagine him being in a position where he could win a race.
Yeah.
He's had a better crack at it than other drivers.
I think it's just Max's ability to manage a car that's mathematically quick in the wind tunnel, but might be really tricky to drive and need all that sensitivity. Whereas the other drivers, if you put them in a normal car, one that's not so tricky, they'd probably get really close, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just that extra talent that Max has allows him to exploit this tricky car.
He is a freak, isn't he? But I think a lot of like the stuff he says about sim racing and learning to drive different cars, like understanding how to drive a GT3 car.
Yeah.
And he'll come in and race against people in GT3 and the real GT3 cars.
Yeah.
But he likes the challenge of comparing himself with people he knows are
Like a
better
benchmark
in that particular car.
Yeah.
I know quite a lot of the others do sim race, but I don't think any of them do it to the
his
degree
level,
that
Didn't he do
does.
a 24-hour sim race during a Grand Prix weekend?
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think his team won it as well.
Yeah. That was at Zandvoort, wasn't it? Was that Monza?
I
One of them, because the
remember,
team have got a
but
bit
yeah.
miffed that he
Yeah,
was.
because he was up at 3 in the
They
morning
said-
doing
yeah,
a stint
yeah,
in the car
yeah.
on the sim race.
Yeah.
Which is,
Oh, it'd be fascinating when he leaves at the end of 26, doesn't he, and goes to Mercedes. What will Red Bull do then? Shall we leave it there rather than just speculating wildly?
Fun though it is.
Fun at making stuff up.
James might start ranting about
Commentators.
commentators.
Yeah. I can't believe you said that about Murray. Unbelievable. That is the end of the Evo F1 special podcast. Probably be a series of one, I imagine.
I would think.
maybe we can do an end of season.
Maybe do an end of season, see how wrong
with
we
someone
were.
who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
See if we can get Crofty on or someone like that.
Yeah, Crofty.
Yeah.
James.
He knows his stuff. So, thank you very much, Yousuf, James, Dickie.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for
you.
coming
Cheers.
dressed as Max Verstappen and Carlos
Carlos
Sainz.
Sainz, yeah.
And we will see you for a normal podcast next week. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
See you.